Well, thank you, Raven, for joining us for another version of Mighty Monday. For our audience here, I've known Raven for quite a while now. She actually personally manages some of our properties here and just one of the best property managers in Denver. So, asked her to come in, talk about kind of day in the life and also the importance of regular maintenance and how it protects people's investments in their home. So, Raven, thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, just first off, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then kind of what a typical day's like in the property management world.
Yep. So I've been a property manager in the Denver metro and Boulder metro areas for 8 years now. And I worked for four different companies, all different departments. And then I just started my company, Raven Real Estate Management, in March 2023. And we have about 70, 75 properties right now and growing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
25 new ones over the past quarter. So you're kicking butt.
Yeah. Thanks.
hmm Awesome.
Busy. And yeah, a typical day is funny uh, to answer as a property manager because one of the things is that every day is very different. Some days I might be at my desk all day doing admin stuff and accounting. And other days I might not be at my desk at all. You know, if there's like a leak at a property or I'm doing showings and meeting vendors. So that's part of what I like about it is every day is different.
Yeah.
Yep.
I totally get that, and I feel you there. You've taken a lot off our plate personally when we turned over the management to you, so thank you for that. And you've been a big benefit for us because I think you particularly spend a lot of time thinking about what it's like to be an owner and the importance of that. Because as owners, this is an investment, right? So we want to try to maximize our dollars, but you can sometimes go too far in that. And putting on my other hat as an owner of an HVAC company, we understand the importance of maintenance and protecting these equipments and things like that, whether it's your furnace, air conditioner, or water heater. So,
Hmm.
how do you balance that in terms of making sure you're always advocating for the owner's interest, but also making sure you're protecting their investment as well?
Yep, that's a great question. That's one of the biggest things that we do
hmm
is balancing all of that because we're the owner of the property is our client,
hmm
who we have a fiduciary duty to act in their best interest. But tenants are also customers,
hmm
and then we also have to know all of the legislation surrounding each thing
hmm
and act within that, and also working with vendors. So everything is kind of a balancing act. I think a huge part of it is actually being hands on and knowing the owners, knowing the properties.
hmm
Like, that's why I'm trying to keep our portfolio from growing too big too fast because it's important. Like, I've been to every property, I know every owner, I know
hmm
every tenant. That makes it a lot easier
Yeah.
to not accidentally like send the wrong vendor. And I do
hmm
a lot of due diligence when I'm onboarding properties.
hmm
So we have all the notes, and mistakes are a lot fewer and more far between. Like, you know, it's like, oh, we sent someone for a heat not working, and we thought it was a furnace, but it's actually a boiler,
hmm
and now there's a big problem. That is minimized with my company because we have these surveys and preventative maintenance forms we have the owners fill out,
hmm
and also just doing a lot of talking to owners ahead of time about what they're okay with and what they're not, and then just knowing our vendors really well,
hmm
just kind of making calls on what to do. Like preventative maintenance, I don't like to force owners to do preventative maintenance if they
hmm
don't want. Because again, like you were saying, I try to look at it from the owner's perspective. I do own rental properties, so I totally get
hmm
exactly what it's like. And I've been a tenant, so I understand that too. But I like to have owners opt in or out of preventative maintenance that they want to do. And then if there's something they don't want to do, I suggest it.
hmm
Um, but if they don't want to do it, if they don't have the money, we won't do it. And then we're just aware, we have it in our notes of whether it was getting done or
hmm
not.
Yeah.
So we know what to look out for.
I mean, you got to put it out there for them to be able to do. But I'll tell you, we'll go out to different rentals from time to time, and sometimes we'll pull out that furnace filter where it's a furnace no go where it's not heating, and it looks like you could basically sew a sweater through it. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
caked up where it hasn't been changed in several years. So
Yep.
those are the simple things. When you own a property, you're more likely to do that. When you rent it, you kind of forget, and or you're just not paying attention to it because it's out of
Hmm.
sight, out of mind, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And knowing that's another big part of it is annual furnace checks
Mm-hmm.
and furnace filter changes. So furnace filter changes pretty much industry wide are the tenant's responsibility.
Yeah.
If there's a furnace. And then part of our due diligence is I always make sure to find out where the furnace is,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes, like that one property recently that you
Yeah.
guys helped me with,
Mm-hmm.
the previous property managers had the tenants doing it at this multifamily property, but they weren't checking on
Right.
it or
Mm-hmm.
doing anything. So the furnaces were actually in a crawl space that the
Mm-hmm.
tenants couldn't get to.
Mm-hmm.
So because I found that out when I was onboarding it, we had you guys do all the furnace
Yeah.
checks, and we caught potentially some really expensive repairs because
Absolutely.
these nice furnaces were not getting taken care of,
Yeah.
and it wasn't the tenant's fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's just important to know what's going on at the property.
No, it really is. And let's be honest, like nobody wants to crawl in a crawl space and push away cobwebs and get through all that gunk to try to get to the filters. It's just not
No.
fun. But you got to preserve the investment.
Yeah, and you wouldn't want tenants doing those things
No.
because of liability.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you and your insurance company
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't want your tenants crawling around the.
No.
No, and that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's super important to make sure you get vendors that are licensed and insured,
Mm-hmm.
because anyone could get hurt in a crawl space. But if you're just finding random people that are really cheap off of Craigslist to do it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're taking the liability on there. So we only use licensed and insured vendors
Mm-hmm.
and only allow them to do that stuff.
Yeah, well, thank you for understanding that too, because we hope we deliver a little bit different level of expertise and white glove touch when we're in a customer's home. It does cost a little more, but
Mm-hmm.
that hopefully that comes across to the tenants and the people that you work with every day as well. So
Yep.
along that line, I mean, how do you go about selecting the vendors that you work with?
Many of the vendors I use right now are just people that I worked with at previous companies
Yeah.
who I liked. Because
Yeah.
when I was an employee property manager, that was part of my job, was taking care of maintenance there for
Mm-hmm.
those companies. And most property management companies are like me, where they use vendors and they don't have
Mm-hmm.
their own in-house maintenance. I think that's kind of a conflict of interest too. So I don't know if I'd want to do that. So you just kind of build relationships with vendors that way,
Yeah.
and that I've brought on, and then just all different ways. Like I met you through networking,
Yeah.
and I try to have 3 to 5 different vendors, like 3 to 5 plumbers, 3 to 5 HVAC guys,
Mm-hmm.
3 to 5 handymans.
Yeah.
So you can kind of try them out and like know what prices are supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
know which ones are going to charge less, and I kind of can tell, like, if someone's licensed and insured and they seem good and they seem like they know what they're doing and come with references, I'll try anyone at least once or twice and
Mm-hmm.
just see.
Yeah.
And then it's always good because then I can go to my other vendors and be like, hey, this guy was great and cheaper. Would you do it for
Mm-hmm.
this price?
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it kind of keeps everyone accountable.
Keeps everybody
And
honest.
yeah, and there are a lot of vendors that want to work with property managers, so
Mhm.
it's not hard to find vendors. Honestly, you just gotta find good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard though because it's like for us too, we want to work with property managers and well, some the ones that we like you guys,
Right.
and because it gives us a little more consistent work, right? Because you have 70 some odd properties underneath your purview now, and that means just more things are going to come up throughout the year as opposed to just one customer that has one home.
Mm-hmm.
So it just helps us in terms of managing our workflow to
Mm-hmm.
know that we can get some consistent work going that way and providing you really good service.
Yep.
The other thing about the 3 bids, I totally get it because, I mean, when we get to summertime, everyone in my world is going to be running around with their hair on fire. And as much as we want to
Same.
prioritize our existing customers, it's like sometimes you just can't get to them, right? So
Yep.
having somebody else, like another arrow in your quiver where you can call somebody to come
Mhm.
out's great, and it makes everybody honest. It gives your owners the understanding that we're not just giving this stuff out to our friends. It's a competitive process, and everyone knows what they're doing. So
Yep.
Mhm.
And everyone says this in every industry, but
Mm-hmm.
I find it especially true for property management because we're just managing people and
Yeah.
processes and kind of in the middle, and
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. So it's super important for us to have a good team. That's what I was going to say
Yeah.
is applicable to every industry, but that includes vendors because like I'm fine. I know things get super crazy in the summer for
Mm-hmm.
everyone, for
Yeah.
my industry and yours. And it's like, if you can't do something or you're not going to be able to get to it, that's fine. But we need really good communication.
Yeah.
I just need to know that. Like, if you're
Mm-hmm.
like, if I'm like, this is an emergency work order. And then if you're like, I can't do it until for 2 weeks, is that okay? I can
Mm-hmm.
say, great, no, I'll assign someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally fine.
Yep.
Like the problem would be if there's a vendor that's taking on too much work
Right.
and then not getting it done and not communicating. That's
Mm-hmm.
horrible for me.
Mm-hmm.
That can ruin
Yeah.
my life sometimes, my day.
Yeah.
And yeah, just having vendors that understand the constraints we're under and can work with us
Yeah.
is super important.
It's hard because I've been in that position before because you worry as the vendor in this relationship where, oh my gosh, if I don't accept that, that means that she's going to go to somebody else and maybe I'll lose the relationship.
No, that's way better.
It is 100% way better
Yeah.
because if you're going to go out over your skis, you're going to end up screwing something up and drop a ball and not be there on time. And you're actually going to hurt that relationship more by just not being transparent about where you're at because it's communication is key in all things. And I totally agree. It's just, I wish more people operated that way, but I understand the draw. It's one of those things where I've been tempted to do it in the past, but sometimes turning down business is the best thing you can do.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another big thing I was mentioning. Having multiple vendors of each type, not just because of, keeping prices low and using the cheapest one, and then also considering availability. It's like picking the ones that are more reliable and easy to work with. That's worth a lot more than just the cheapest person a lot of the time. Another thing that's super important is our vendors are our eyes and ears. You know, if we do occupied property inspections twice a year. So we're in there at least twice a year, including move in and move out inspections. But vendors, I mean, hopefully not because nothing breaks. But if something breaks, people are going to be, or doing preventative maintenance if the owner wants to opt into that. Vendors are in there more often than us. And we can do a lot better of a job for our clients if our vendors understand that they need to tell us stuff. Like, you know, don't panic the tenants. If there's a problem, tell me. I will manage it and fix it. Don't tell them and then not tell me.
Right.
Things like that. Or like, you know, oh, it smelled like cigarettes in there or whatever. Like that would be great to know if you guys could just mention it. And having owner or vendors that will be on our side with those things and giving us very, very detailed information. Like if I have a question about what was happening at the property, the vendors might have no idea why I'm asking, but I know there's an important reason I'm asking. And if they can work with us on that and answer my questions and give us details, it helps so much. So using vendors that can do that, even if they're a little more expensive or might have less availability, sometimes there's a reason I'll want to use them. Yeah.
Well, makes all the sense in the world. It goes back to being a team. Team's the most important thing, and I totally get it. So, what's your favorite part of the job?
Favorite part of the job? We might have to cut this part out.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. Can we skip that one?
Sure can.
Probably. I always just say it's when things are dealing with insane people because it's funny. That's honestly my favorite part.
Yeah.
Like your tenant.
You have the crazy stories? Yeah.
Your tenant? Oh, we'll cut this out.
Okay. Yeah. Totally get it. So the only thing I've got left is a simple question. So, all right. So anything you think would be good to talk about that we haven't covered today?
I really wanted to hit on the stuff I just mentioned, how it's really important not only to be reasonably priced because we're keeping our pulse on what people are charging, And understanding that, yeah, there's always going to be someone cheaper.
Yeah.
Like just because an owner found someone, like I was saying on
Mm-hmm.
Craigslist, that's way cheaper,
Yeah.
I'm like, do they know what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
I've had owners do that before. Like this isn't super common, but they're like, I found a guy that will do this for like a fifth of the price.
Yeah.
And I'll say, okay, it's your property. You can
Yeah.
do that if you want. My insurance won't let me send them. So
Mm-hmm.
this has got to be between you guys.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then they did a horrible job and we had to pay someone else more
Yeah.
to fix it.
Yeah.
So, and insurance and having processes and things
Mm-hmm.
like that cost money. Um, and yeah, so those things are important, but also just the communication.
Yeah.
Like working with a property manager is a lot different than working with directly with a homeowner
Mm-hmm.
because we have a lot going on and a lot of logistics.
Yes.
And just, yeah, being able to give us customer service afterwards, like answering the questions, answering the random call or email, like what did happen when you were there? Like, did they say this?
And that's
Being
it. I
able
mean,
to answer that is
yeah.
just as important as getting the work done
Yeah.
for us.
Totally good. I mean, it's kind of weird, but we're kind of a game of telephone where the tenant's involved, you're involved, we're involved, owner's involved.
Yeah.
And we got to communicate through all those parties to make sure the message is understood. And also, everything's just done right. So I totally get it. And your comment about people hiring the cheapest work, it's interesting because I just got back from a conference in Boston, and this is the transition year going from 410A refrigerant to either R32 or 454. So it's going to be much harder for folks to do that in the future because as we've changed over the past couple of years, it's getting more complicated, more technical, more everything in terms of just what we do and install on a day-to-day basis. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for folks when they're trying to hire those folks in the future. So
yeah, and even you educating me on that stuff will help me because then I can explain it to owners if they're like, why is this way more expensive or why couldn't we repair this? It's like, well, they don't make that anymore.
Oh, no.
And then that saves me time because I already know about it and I don't have to call you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy year because every manufacturer, they put their bet in last year where they spent hundreds of millions of dollars and bought all the equipment that they were going to have. And as that's done this year, that's done. So it's going to be a mix of 410, a mix of 454. And going through summertime, we're going to have like one size of this, one size of that. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So,
exciting.
yeah, super exciting and more expensive too, which is
big stuff.
What everybody wants to hear. But
yep.
Anyways, that's all I had for you today, Raven. So thank you for coming in.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.